So once upon a time, there was a plan to marry Cersei Lannister to Oberyn Martell and Jaime Lannister to Elia Martell. This plan came about because Jaime and Cersei's mother, Joanna Lannister, well, one of her best friends happened to be Oberyn and Elia and Oran Martell's mother, the Princess of Dawn. They met as ladies' maids, ladies in waiting, companions to Queen Rhaegar. The Martells even travelled to Casterly Rock to hammer out a deal. But on the way there, they learn that Joanna Lannister has died, giving birth to Tyrion. Oberyn Martell says to Tyrion, "I remember when I met you for the very first time. You'd just been born, but we didn't come to celebrate your birth. They were already on the way, so why not pop in and visit and pay your commiserations?" Oberyn says, "We were on a quest of sorts, a quest that took us to Starfall, the Arbor, Old Town, the Shield Islands, Crake Hall, and finally Casterly Rock. But our true destination was marriage." He says, "My older brother Doran, he was already betrothed, but myself and Elia were not. We were available." Oberyn says he believes that their mothers got together and arranged this plan, that their children would marry each other. Had Joanna Lannister survived childbirth, there's a very real possibility that this arrangement would have gone ahead, because although Tywin Lannister is like the big scary boss, at home, the person who wore the trousers was Joanna. I can see her convincing Tywin to let her do this. Tywin is not saying no to his beloved Joanna. But because she had passed away in childbirth very, very recently, it was awkward when the Martells arrived. Tywin ignored them. He made Kevin deal with them. Eventually, after what Oberyn says was a decent amount of time, his mother approached Tywin about the arrangement. And Tywin put a dampener on the whole idea. He was like, "No, it's not happening." Now, as this comment says, yeah, pretty short-sighted. The Martells are not a bad house to ally with via marriage. But Tywin didn't want to settle for just any other great house. He wanted more for his family, and he intended to use his daughter Cersei to get it. He had his sights on the ruling family, the crown, House Targaryen. Tywin wanted to marry Cersei to Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, heir to the throne. So the Princess of Dawn says, "Okay, forget about Cersei and Oberyn, but what about Jaime? Can he still marry Elia?" Tywin says, "No, but I will offer you Tyrion." And that was taken as the insult it was intended. So why did Tywin do this? Why reject a perfectly decent alliance? I think it's because Tywin Lannister, he lusts after power. Because power brings control. People don't challenge you, they don't test you. Because his own father was such a pushover, Tywin went to the other end of the spectrum. He became incredibly ruthless, ambitious. He was not someone you messed with. And Tywin was very popular as Hand of the King, arguably more so than the king himself. And by marrying his daughter to the heir to the throne, that was Tywin's path to true power. In the same way that he married Cersei to Robert Baratheon. The marriage to Rhaegar, that would come with strings attached. You would always have Tywin lurking in the background. Rhaegar would have had to contend with Tywin in the exact same way that Robert Baratheon did. So Tywin rejected the Martell's offer because he had his sights set on something bigger. Cersei was giddy about the idea. She was obsessed with Rhaegar. She would draw the two of them together. Tywin threw a tourney and Rhaegar was the star of the show. Cersei was so obsessed with Rhaegar that she even set aside Jaime. She was like, he's a boy. That is why Cersei went to see Maggie the Frog. She was convinced that her future was already laid out, so what was the harm? But at the end of the tourney, her aunt Gemma breaks it to Cersei that she is not going to marry Rhaegar. What happened was Tywin suggested the betrothal to Aerys, and Aerys turned him down. He calls Tywin a servant and says, "I can't marry my son, my heir, to the daughter of the help." Aerys was also keenly aware of just how popular Tywin was. Feared, yes, but fairly well liked, especially compared to the Mad King. But Aerys did not want to create a situation where Tywin had even more power. He wanted to put Tywin in a timeout. And to add insult after injury, not only did the Mad King reject Tywin's offer, he then married Rhaegar to Elia Martell herself. The girl that Tywin rejected. He only offered Tyrion knowing the Martells would say no. This decision to marry Rhaegar to Elia, that was Aerys putting the knife in and twisting it. And I don't think Tywin ever got over that kind of snub. And Cersei, she blamed her father. He'd gotten her hopes up, and now he's marrying her off to Robert Baratheon? Cersei always wonders what could have been. She still pictures Rhaegar. In fact, Cersei says she's never forgiven Robert Baratheon for defeating Rhaegar on the Trident. I don't think Cersei ever gave much thought to what could have been had she been married to Oberyn Martell. I mean, they could have made quite the couple, but it never happened. Tywin took a gamble that he could get a better deal for marrying his daughter off, and it backfired. Then Tywin marries Cersei off to Robert Baratheon. He used his daughter to get in good with the new king because Tywin was very late to joining Robert's cause. And all of this is not lost on Cersei. She's never really gotten over it. Everything that she wanted was snatched out of her grasp. And I think that's part of why Cersei is so manipulative towards Jaime. She can exercise control in that relationship. It's one of the very few relationships where Cersei feels she has control. She had no control over potentially marrying Oberyn or Rhaegar or Robert because she feels like everything is spinning out of control and everyone else is in charge. In order to feel like she's in control of something, that is why Cersei goes so hard for Jaime. She doesn't really give him a chance to explore himself and his own life and what he wants. She smothers him. I think this is all connected. It's all one piece of the puzzle.